The big topic across all social media venues is what are the altcoins doing? But I want to take a video here to kind of explain the rotations that are going on within Bitcoin that makes that possible, and what sort of conditions facilitate that, and what essentially you're looking for if you are, trying to capture those altcoin gains, those very sweet altcoin gains. So first things first, I actually want to spend a little bit of time here on this opening screen explaining what I mean by that. So Bitcoin rotations within the context of, Bitcoin going to the upside essentially means this: Bitcoin as sort of the number one most notorious cryptocurrency, or whatever the hell you want to call it, the market leader essentially, going up generally benefits the rest of the market. Why is that? Well, Bitcoin going up first does signal that there's interest coming back within this market, most importantly, and as it goes up, it takes time to then go sideways and consolidate. During those consolidation periods, people, instead of going back into US dollars, for example, or at least in general, will start to transfer those gains off into the next in line, the next strongest in line, and we're starting to actually see a lot of that within the cryptocurrency market. Now, here's the thing: this is not like a blind thing to say that all altcoins are doing well or even meant to do well. I don't think that that's what's happening, but we are starting to see a lot of maybe the stronger ones, or the strong ones that will be strong for this next cycle, put in some pretty amazing gains, especially over the past couple months. And the next strongest in line, typically the Ethereums and sort of the other more established ones, are starting to make their moves here too. So that is essentially what I mean by crypto rotations. It rotates, or the gains rotate from the strongest to the weakest. And then as Bitcoin continues on, then, well, it flows back into Bitcoin and creates sort of that rolling snowball, if you will. Anyways, other than that, I'm going to walk you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a long-ass intro right there. Long-ass. Apparently, to non-native English speakers, that's a funny terminology, but I just mean it's long. That's what I mean to say. Anyway, so first things first, let's start it off over here with Bitcoin, looking at the HPDR bands, still caught within this 50% of historic returns range. So that actually is really speaking well towards the condition here that makes out those rotations possible. As Bitcoin trades above, in this explosion of volatility that we saw over here, on this move that I just circled, we did see that altcoins really lost heavily against Bitcoin, as you would expect. But as Bitcoin goes into this next consolidation, which I have circled right here in the red, well, that is the time where altcoins have really caught up, and we are starting to see some activity there. To be fair, I mean, have to call a spade a spade. This isn't really an altcoin channel, but that is what's happening. And that's essentially what you can expect. So looking at the HPDR bands, as long as things oscillate within this 50% region, which is essentially a consolidation region as I look at it, as volatility cools off, which certainly has been, in fact, getting all the way down here to, the teens in terms of percentiles, that does allow for those conditions to occur. And if you're trying to time those sort of moves, that's probably how I'd try to best do it. That also means to say that if Bitcoin starts to break out above the range highs or below the range lows, and in this case the range lows are about low $34,000, well, probably going to be problems for altcoins. To the upside, that range is actually really starting to expand here above 37,500. I would even go as far to say that if Bitcoin starts to trade above the high of this consolidation, which is just above 36,000 bucks, you're probably going to see that happen as well. Just an early indication of a breakout here. But that's essentially what I'd be looking at as Bitcoin again fills out this range, and we see that volatility continue to cool off, which I suspect still goes on for a little bit longer before Bitcoin makes its next move. So altcoins, could be doing or could be generally interesting here. We can go ahead and check out stochastic momentum for Bitcoin, and then we'll get into some more. How do I want to put this terminology? Alternative analysis, yeah, because it's altcoins, it's alternative. Anyways, 5-day time frame for CME just closed last night, continues with this upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 29,000 bucks. Also of note here, it did break, or I guess I already have it in there, it did break this long-term regression that we did see all the way in from the April highs, connected with the highs in August as well. So in this case, we are starting to see a change of behavior here from this momentum oscillator as it does successfully get above that region for the first time in a long time. indicating that, things are changing long term. 2-day time frame is going to be pointed down here, or at least in the process of pointing down, assuming that today closes below 36,000 bucks. Currently trading about 500 bucks below that pivot, and again coming in from the really, really critical zone here. So, short term, I do think that this consolidation probably goes on for a bit longer. Daily time frame, same thing, 36,000 bucks, the same pivot, same area right here in extremes on extreme volatility. Looking for this cool off for a while longer is not like a crazy assumption. 12-hour time frame is going to be showing actually upside above 35,200. I would say that this is kind of a weak signal here in the neutral zone, just for what it's worth. 6-hour time frame is going to be pointed up above 35,150 as well. 4-hour time frame is going to be flippy floppy at 35,400, and hourly time frame is going to be pointed down below 35,700. So just kind of going across the board here, we do see a bifurcation between higher term timeframes and lower term timeframes. What does that likely mean? Sideways, still within this sort of corrective channel here. And I'm sure people are plotting this as something of the sort. And to be fair, I mean, that is, kind of within there, right? I mean, it's a rising channel. Typically these break out to the downside, but I don't really trust, patterns to do what they're supposed to do anyways. In this case, filling out this region right here does kind of correlate somewhat well with this region over here, but this one's just, mathematically and statistically based. So I put a lot more faith on that. Hard numbers. And again, below 34,000 bucks or 34,100. Okay. Maybe a bit of a change of behavior. Until then, can fill out that region for, another week and let things cool off and then game on yet again. Anyways, moving on now as I get my notes back up over here. I do want to go into Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance, the last time we really gave this one like a full look was back on over here in like August, I think it was. And we were saying, hey, this one is still bullish. It's just setting a higher low, but it's very possible that this next targeted region of about 54%, somewhere around that green 55 exponential moving average, might actually be a major high, or at least a good stopping point. And we are, Bitcoin dominance is there now. We also see that this is the 50% retracement from, the high of this rally that we did see in the last cycle to the low of the last cycle as well. And, a good place for a pullback, maybe even another lower high. It's a potential area. If that one fails, then I'd be looking somewhere around the 618, which is about 58%. And if that one fails, then I look, much higher at 64.5%. But it should be known for what it's worth, which I actually don't know how much it's worth. But the green 55 exponential average has been, the tops of these rallies in the past. Not that there has been a whole hell of a lot of them, but it is in there. And if we go over here to the weekly, we do get some signs of topping behavior. Do we have any sort of divergence here? No, not yet. So maybe that's irrelevant. Daily time frame, does certainly look short-term toppy, absolutely, but short-term it did top, but short-term it's probably going to bounce up here and then maybe come back down a little bit. Not really getting too much from that. And the 3-month time frame, the quarterly. Yeah, you can still go either way on this one. It's not really giving me too much. But I would say, again, just by the merit of getting to this region right here, it is worthwhile to know. And most importantly, how would we actually start to look at this as a major reversal, which would generally benefit the broader altcoin market? Well, in this case, it's pretty simple. Back below about 50%. Yeah. I could call that the next macro high and be looking for much lower. But until then, a good place for altcoins to kind of do well as Bitcoin consolidates and gets ready for that next move. I suspect still to the upside, but this can take another couple of weeks for it to really populate here. Anyways, what else do I want to get into? Or was there anything else on the monthly? Yes, that is right on the monthly. There is potential here, which is very interesting to me, for hidden bearish divergence between this high and this high. Actually, these couple highs over here, but this high was all the way back in basically the beginning of 2021. I'm gonna mark it off. Sorry, there's someone at the door, but I'll get that in a second. This high right here and this potential high right here. So RSI is making higher highs. So if we do start to see that confirmed as macro high and a lower high, you also have hidden bearish evidence, and that would be pretty damn powerful as a macro signal for this chart to top out. But I think that would really only speak to like the end of a Bitcoin cycle. Until then, I think it's really only the strong altcoins that are going to be doing okay. I'll explain in a second, but I need to pause this. So yeah, just kind of wrapping up this thought. Long way of saying that, while the consolidation goes on here, altcoins going to catch up a little bit. Not super convinced that this is going to be the high just yet. I do still think that there's a good chance that we do see, decently higher. But there's that potential. There's that potential. We have the conditions set, and then we can go on into looking at the total shit, right? Total 3 market cap, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and dollar and dollar derivatives. Should be known that it's breaking out actually. It did have this long-term sort of descending trend line, aka descending triangle right here in construction since basically August of 2022. Actually retook that and reclaimed as of last week. Now getting stopped a little bit at that white 200 simple, but just as you can have the measured move for when this one breaks down and acts as a descending triangle, you can apply that to the breakout to the upside. And what do you know? It does correlate incredibly well with the same sort of breakdown levels and support levels that we did see in July of 2021. So very, very important right there. Long term, probably does work its way up there. It's just, does it outpace Bitcoin on Bitcoin upside moves? Probably not. So I would still say that it's not wise to get fooled by the short term altcoin gains. I do think that most of them, except for like the very strong ones, are probably going to still be playing catch up for most of the time to Bitcoin on these on these upside moves. Anyways, in this case, they very likely will move up in general. Maybe not all of them, but certainly the more strong ones will move up versus the US dollar valuation. So I do think that it actually is the time to be looking for, those newer coins within this cycle. Like if you are that type of person, that can be a very lucrative game, if you will. It's not a game that I like to play myself. Not that it's not valid. It's just not my game. But I know there's people out there who will do their research and shit and find these, shit coins like way far deep in the dregs of like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap or whatever the hell they use, and they make astronomical gains during these times. And yeah, I do think that actually right now is a time to be looking, for those ones, and has been for the past like 2 to 3 weeks now. So in this case, just another kind of signal of that. Anyways, last one we look at here will be for Mr. Saint in the Discord. He's been looking at XRP. He keeps on calling out XRP. So I think it's time to actually look at, is XRP anything like worth looking at right now? And weekly, it's found a nice local high, I do believe, or at least especially on the daily. It's a great place to pull back. However, pullback likely does put in a higher low. I mean, long term on the monthly, whether you love this thing or hate this thing, because apparently you can only love or hate this thing. If you're part of the XRP army, then you love it no matter what, even if it makes you broke. And if you hate this thing, then, well, you're probably the average person, because most people do for whatever reason. It does have this macro higher low in place now. And in long term, I suspect that it does, continue on to the upside long term. Again, on a monthly and quarterly look right here, very likely does trade back above $1. I think within the next 6 months, actually. But realistically, it doesn't really look like it's going to do anything like super crazy out of the ordinary compared to everything else. So it's funny to me that this one gets called out when not really doing anything like that unique. And in the short term should find a local high here. In fact, if we go over here and check out the Oracle Pro indicator, it did have a strong buy down here on Thursday the 19th of October, actually, when things were trading at around 50 cents. And it did just get a sell signal over here. So similar to Bitcoin, I do think that it's found its local high. It's going to trade a little bit sideways and down from here. And then, hopefully for the Boolah's sake, it does set in a higher low somewhere above like 60 cents. And if that happens, over the next 6 months, very likely trades north of $1, maybe even all the way up to like $1.50 if things get really, really crazy. It's hard to hate this chart long term for what it's worth. I mean, it is a higher low. It's a macro higher low on a very high term time frame here. And do we even have hidden bullish evidence? Maybe a slight amount. Let's see. That's 48.31 versus 48.2. Actually, no. So, but it's pretty damn close there. Anyways, looking at this and then maybe looking at the range statistics, let's see what the daily set, or well, it's always a daily, but today is Wednesday. Out of all Wednesdays in XRP's history, 41.5% about have closed positively with an average gain of about 2.5%. On the losing side, lost about a negative return of 3.3%. So interesting. Tomorrow, Thursday, as the same with Bitcoin, kind of the worst day for this one. Traditionally speaking, just in terms of positive versus negative closures. But in the case of positive closures, actually has the biggest returns. It's interesting. It's just, I guess, just the most volatile day really for this one. But yeah, today, not much better at 41.5%. Let's see. What if it does play out the average of those downside gains? 3.3%. Holy shit, this one moves fast. That'd put it at like 66 cents, somewhere around there. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a good place for me to be leaving off. I should let you know that coming in, at least I'm told, as the coders work on this, coming in like the next couple weeks, they're gonna the chart prime people are gonna be starting to put in even more of my indicator ideas into this package. The price will not change. It'll be the same price no matter how many damn indicators I add, unless if I decide to make another package. But I think this is good. I just want to make something that just has so much fucking value that it becomes a no-brainer to get into. It includes this indicator right here, the range statistics, includes the Oracle Pro that you just saw right here. It includes the Jewel Light. It includes several other things, their own oscillator, their own sort of pattern thingy, and what the hell. You can even try it for free for 14 days. So hopefully that all makes sense. And the new indicators that they're going to be working on, which hopefully are done within the next couple of weeks, I'm pretty damn excited about, because it's more unique stuff. Like I have these ideas for indicators that I have not been able to translate before, and now it's just like they have a team that's all they do. So fair enough. Anyways, I'm going to be signing off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Friday.